Okay, so continuing on here with the distributive property. Basically what the distributive property is saying is whatever you have out here on the outside, I can multiply it through to every single item inside the parentheses. So A times B is AB, A times C is AC, and you just add them together. So for example, if I had 2 times the quantity of x plus 7, I would do 2 times x, and I would do 2 times the 7. So 2 times x is 2x, 2 times 7 is 14, so you get 2x plus 14. It doesn't matter the order. Even though this 4 is in the back, I can still distribute and add it through. It's not going to matter, so it would still be 4x, and 4 times 8 is 32, but since there's a negative there, it's going to be minus 32. So 4 times x is 4x, 4 times negative 8 is negative 32, so 4x minus 32 is your answer. Okay, so
Where are you?
example 1 here, let's take a look. So with this example, all we're going to do is do the distributive property, but now we have 2 items here. So this is basically what we referred to as foiling. So you take the first 2, P times R is PR. Then you take the first and the last, P times S is PS. And because this was a positive S, that's why we add them together. And I take the middle, Q times R is QR. Because this was positive, I have a plus sign there. And Q times S is QS, so I add them together as well. So, just taking out all the multiplication signs, I have PR, PS, QR, and QS. And I have them all added together. And there's your answer.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Alright, so taking a look here at example 2. Now there's a couple different ways you can do this. We could sit here and FOIL these two, get a big huge thing, and then multiply a 2 through. Or I can multiply this 2 through to the first thing and FOIL that through, and then, distribute that through and then FOIL the whole thing. I could even take that 2 through just to the last 2. But keep in mind I don't have to take that 2 through to each group. That I don't have to do. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to FOIL this. Okay, so x times x, that gives me x squared. X times a negative 2 will give me a negative 2x. Okay, 7 times x is positive 7x, and 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. So inside those parentheses, I'm going to combine like terms. And when I combine my like terms, a negative 2x and a 7x right here, negative 2x and a 7x, I get 5x. So this is actually what I have down here. So let me move this over here to the side so you can see this. Oop, move, there we go. Okay, now this is what we have, right, with the terms combined, but I still have this 2 on the outside. I need to distribute that 2 through. So I put a 2 through there to get 2x squared. 2 times a 5x, I get 10x. And since it's a positive 5 and a 2, that is a positive 10. 2 times negative 14, negative 28, and there is your final answer. Properties of negatives now. Properties of negatives. The first property, a negative times a negative will give you a positive. So negative 9, positive 9. Number 2, a negative a times b will give you a negative answer because it's one negative times a positive. So what I want you to keep in mind is it doesn't matter whether you have one negative here, whether you have one negative inside, or you have one negative in the last one. The answer is going to be negative. So negative 3 times 6 will give you the same answer as the whole thing of negative 3 times 6, which will also give you the same answer as 3 times negative 6, which will give you negative 18. The third rule here, if you have two negatives, a negative times a negative is a positive. So negative 4 times negative 6, positive 24. Number 4, negative 1 times whatever number it is will give you a negative number of whatever that is. So negative 1 times 8 will give you negative 8. Alright, so reciprocals. You're used to just seeing like a fraction of a reciprocal, but this is something else you need to keep in mind. This is a negative 1. If you see something to a negative 1, that's like saying write it as a reciprocal. So, but when you do this, a can't be 0, because if a is 0, that means you have a 0 in the denominator, and you can't have 0 in the denominator. So a to the negative 1 is the same as 1 over a. That's why 0, or a cannot be 0, because you'll have an undefined solution. So if we wanted you to write 3 to the negative 1, you would rewrite that as 1 over 3, right? Just whatever the a is, that goes in the bottom with a 1 on top.
I call top. Sorry.
So how can you rewrite subtraction and division problems? A minus b. You can rewrite that as a plus negative b if you wanted to, right? You can change everything into addition. You can change subtraction into addition if you wanted to. So 4 minus 8 we could rewrite as 4 plus negative 8 to get our answer. What this is saying is a divided by b, you could rewrite it as a times the reciprocal if you really wanted to. Because keep in mind, a divided by b, you'll get a over b, right? Well, what's a times 1 over b? A times 1 is a, so you'll still end up with a over b, either way. So 4 divided by 2, if we wanted to, we could, sorry, not 4. 5 divided by 2, we could rewrite that as 5 times 1 over 2, if we wanted to, which will still give us 5 over 2.
All right, Mr. Smart Reporter. Showing off. Figured out how to work the Google on the internet machine.
Properties of quotients now. A over b equals c over d if AD equals BC. Basically, this is discussing what you did a long time ago, multiplying with cross multiplication. That's really all that is. Okay, those two are equal with cross multiplication. And notice, 3 times 8 is 24. 4 times 6 is 24. That's how you know that they're equal. So down here, AD over BD, well, the reason why that equals A over B is, notice there's a D on the top and the bottom. They just would cross out. So the whole point of this one is like saying, oh, if you multiply the same thing on the top and the bottom, right, it's going to be kind of like a larger fraction in a way of what the original was. So 10 over 14 is the same as me saying 5 times 2 and 7 times 2. We can get those 2's to cross out to get 5 over 7. You already know this. It's simplifying fractions. Okay, you already know this. A over negative b is the same as negative a over b, just like before. When you multiply by one negative, the answer is negative. Well, when you divide by a negative, the answer is also going to be negative. So 3 over negative 5 is the same as negative 3 over 5. That's all. And a over b plus c over b is, since the bases are the same, you keep them the same and you add across the top. So remember, when you're adding fractions, you keep the base the same and you add across the top to get 7 over 6.
I sent him into the future.
Okay, and when we come back here, we will finish up our properties of quotients in prerequisite section P.2.